want to start it from this way that I always try to get away from?
Yeah,
Hey everyone, welcome to the EuroBONUS podcast. I'm the host, Donatas URBONUS, and I'm joined by Gytis Blaževičius and Augustas Šuliauskas, and also Mantas Ramelis behind the camera.
That was, I don't know.
Shout out to all the behind the camera guys who are doing the podcast, because they're so underrated and they never, for some reason, they never get a mention. And I'm here to change this thing, change the narrative. Yeah. So give some credit to those guys like Mantas and everybody else in BasketNews and other podcasts.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah. So a lot of stuff to discuss today. First of all, we'll start with Panathinaikos reaching the EuroLeague new format regular season record. We're going to talk if Fenerbahce is our dark horse to win the EuroLeague title. Biggest playoff regrets facing this crazy race for the playoffs, playing and the home court advantage. We will share our reactions of the Paris Olympics draw, and we'll share our next EuroLeague rookies coming of the EuroCup in the upcoming free agency. So let's start from Panathinaikos. 20th victory for Panathinaikos in a dramatic fashion. They were behind by 16 in the second quarter against Barca, but they managed to win the game, and they can be proud of their new record. But of course, it's just the beginning of the great things that they're trying to achieve. What did impress you the most, guys?
Can I just say one thing about this record? I was actually surprised when you told me that it is a record, because I thought that in the Pascual era they had a few good seasons, and I'm looking now. They finished the best result they had was 19-11, so 19 wins. Now they have 20. They broke the record. They finished fourth, but they only played 30 games. But anyways, what I'm trying to say with this, we remember that Kavi Pascual era of Panathinaikos, and we already broke the record with Ergin Ataman's first year. So I guess we can already think that we'll be remembering this year as the Ergin Ataman era. If he already broke the record, then it's going to be in the top four in standings-wise.
The turnaround that he's having with Panathinaikos is something similar to what he did in Efes. From the bottom team in the EuroLeague, he managed to get them to the Final Four, to the EuroLeague final, actually. And there are a lot of similarities between these two seasons. And actually, the season that he's having right now at Panathinaikos, of course, it's not over. We're not sure if Panathinaikos will clinch the second seed. But if they will do, the increase of the positions in one season is even bigger right now, because Panathinaikos improved by 15 positions. They were 17th last year. And in Efes, I think it was the improve of 14 or 12 positions.
From last to fourth in the regular season. And I think there were 16 teams at that moment.
Yeah, and what's crazy that Panathinaikos winning percentage last year was only 26.5. This year it's 64.5, and obviously it's a best rise in the EuroLeague among all teams. Increase in winning percentage was 38. 11 more wins when last season, and we have 3 games to play, and they are in a good position to improve this record as well. Second biggest rise in the EuroLeague was made by Virtus, but the winning percentage was only 13.6. So it's you can compare, the rise of Panathinaikos and the second best team in the EuroLeague by that standard. So Panathinaikos' success is huge, and it's crazy to remember. You mentioned Xavi Pascual era. It was the last time they actually made it to the playoffs, and they made it to the playoffs twice. And what was interesting, they were also having those good seasons. Let's not forget that we had 16 teams in the new format regular season era. So the winning percentage, I think that both seasons they were 19 and 11, which is 63.3 winning percentage. And this year it's just a little bit higher, 64.5. And what was also funny that when Panathinaikos made it to the playoffs with Xavi, which was 6 and 7 years ago, in the playoffs, they lost to the upcoming EuroLeague champions. At first, it was Fener with Željko, and then Madrid with Luka Doncic. The last 3 seasons, Panathinaikos was a bottom 3 team in the EuroLeague. In the new format EuroLeague era, among the A-licensed teams, Panathinaikos was the 3rd worst team among those 13 clubs. So, the rise is maybe somebody is taking for granted that the rise they're having, but it is something exceptional that's in works of Ataman and this current Panathinaikos team.
And something I think Augustas will add to later on as well, something you did in the beginning of the season were the power rankings. And I remember the main argument being that it will take some time for Panathinaikos, especially from coming from Rytis. I believe that he wasn't a believer in a project that got together this 1 year and now they're going to be successful all of a sudden. But I think we're seeing that it can be right away success. And I guess maybe Augustas, you want to add some of your thoughts here.
I mean, I looked at where we saw them before the season because I have all the rankings that we did each spot, and I had them at sixth, and Donatas and Rytis had the Panathinaikos outside the top 8, 9, and 10th. And, to be fair, I don't blame, us for these power rankings, because let's not forget, nobody knew they will sign Kendrick Nunn, after 4 rounds or 5 rounds, whatever that was. And he's a game changer. He solves so many problems for an already excellent defensive team. And so, I think it's actually crazy how they exceeded our expectations. But not only our expectations, but I think their own expectations. To be at the number 2 spot, we are not sure yet if they're going to keep it. But to do that with a completely new team where you signed all the players in your first year, it's actually pretty insane. And lately, just 2 things, my 2 cents from this last game against Barcelona, is that I look at Kostas Lukas and the way he's playing, and I think he's finally confident in his role where he is right now in Panathinaikos, because in the first part of the season, he was kind of, overdoing it a little bit, trying to maybe prove somebody a point or whatever that was. He had to adjust to a new teammates, new role. He was scoring like around 9 points in the EuroLeague, and while doing like 4 assists, but also doing it at a low percentage and also at 4 turnovers per game. And right now, he's doing, those isolation plays in the end. He's creating for others. And in the last 6 EuroLeague games, he's scoring almost 14 points per game on 56% shooting from 2, 48% shooting from 3. But the most important part for me is that he's averaging almost 7 assists while doing only 2 turnovers. This is huge for Panathinaikos because we all know their defense is great. But for their offense to have Slukas playing like this right before the playoffs, I think is amazing. And the only downside from this game is that they couldn't manage to keep the tiebreaker over Barcelona. They had lost the first game by 8 points, and they were plus 13 with 1 minute to go, and plus 11 with 3.3 seconds remaining. And they fouled, obviously, so Barcelona could score only 2 points. But they messed up the defensive rebounding part, and they missed on purpose. They got the rebound, and, Panathinaikos fouled again. And now they are tied. And in case of a tiebreaker, I don't know how that's going to be decided. But they don't have it like a direct tiebreaker over Barcelona. So, great game. Another huge win, like to see Olympiacos lose and to win for Panathinaikos to win both games was amazing. And, we only have 3 games left. And I think they're front runner for a home court advantage.
And like we were talking about after the Greek derby, we thought that was a crucial loss, right? But after bouncing back with these 2 wins, and especially this win, I think it's even more important psychologically for the team. Sort of builds the character, that you can be down 15 in the second and then come back. And a lot of it has to be props to Ergin Ataman. I mean, he took there was probably the wrong call of backcourt violation, and then he got the technical foul, but that really woke up the arena, woke up the team. And I feel like, I don't know what's his key of success, because we always talk about Ergin Ataman.
I know one.
Okay.
Money.
Oh.
Everywhere he goes, he brings money.
Yeah.
He managed to convince sponsors to join his team. He managed the team to convince team owners, to somehow to find those sponsors, because you can watch his track record. All these teams that he joined, they suddenly became rich. And of course, I'm not saying that they started, from the jump being the top 1 team by budget. even these players that they have, of course, there were some huge deals, but it's not like they brought like 10 guys who get paid 2 million and over. But let's say now, first of all, it's money. Second of all, he's a great general manager, finding right pieces to make a winning team, because nobody could say that Jerian Grant is going to be so important for his team. Matthias Lazort, it's kind of obvious. Kendrick Nunn came here for a mission. Kostas Lukas, yes. But some other guys like Marius Grigonis, well-deserved spots on the core of Panathinaikos. He earned this spot as himself, but at the same time, Ataman likes guys like Grigonis. So, to me, it's like money, general manager instinct, and then relying on players, giving them all the spotlights and to put everything on their shoulders to decide. But that's how he picks players, those who can play one-on-one, who can take the responsibility and who can create shots for themselves and for others.
You can't blame that Ataman has money. I know a lot of EuroLeague teams that have money, but they're fighting for a play-in right now for their lives. He's in the second spot feeling good about himself.
And how much more money do they have than last year, Panathinaikos?
A lot.
A lot more?
I mean, you can compare rosters. I mean,
I know.
It's kind of obvious. But yeah, Augustas had a good point. And to me, what's the most interesting part is that it's just the year one. And we see some pieces that probably will be moved in off-season. There are a lot of rumors about Luka Vildoza, Juancho Hernan-Gomez, Balcherovsky, guys like that. So you can imagine, first of all, he's finding his core already. Okay, we don't know if Kendrick Nunn is going to stay in PAO or not, if he's getting an opportunity to get back to the NBA. But if he's staying, he found his core. He will get into the free agency again to add 1-2 pieces crucial for his core. And then this Panathinaikos team can be even better. So that's the scariest part about Panathinaikos to me.
I agree very much with you. And even looking at this season, what's left of it, we have 3 games left. And for them, they have Virtus, who are on a clear downfall. I mean, we're seeing them going down in the positions in the standings. So that game is very winnable. And then they have the 2 German teams left, one home, one away. But I could say both probably home. in Munich, we could expect the Greens to take over that gym. So I see both are definitely. Alba is you assume they're gonna win, and against Munich, I feel like also a winnable game. So I could see them winning all 3, finishing second, and then maybe we won't see Olympiacos and Panathinaikos like we were sort of hinting at before.
Hoping.
Because they would be second, and Olympiacos won't go as low as 7.
If they don't lose, then they're in a good position because they have the tiebreaker against Monaco. They have 2-0 against them, and they are tied with, like I said, with Barcelona. So if they don't lose, and since Monaco have a really easy schedule as well, they're still in a pretty good shape to take the second spot.
So Fener just been playing on a different level lately.
You mean
after Keenan Evans?
You mean after Sharas joined?
Said Keenan Evans. A lot of stuff about Fenerbahce, them having high-scoring games, them just winning a lot of games against good teams. Now we see more and more players coming out on Twitter, sharing their appreciation of the level of basketball that Fenerbahce is showing. And this is the team which went, I would say, under the radar or was left out of the conversation for the most part of the season in a title race conversation. I mean, do you see them as your dark horse to win the title this year?
First of all, I want to clear one thing out. Is it Fenerbahce or Fenerbahce? Like
Fenerbahce.
Fenerbahce from that song, I know. Okay, so if we're saying Panathinaikos and Olympiacos correctly, let's say Fenerbahce.
So let's say Barcelona correctly then. Why do you say Barcelona? Valencia, Barcelona.
All right. To answer your question,
Xavi Pascual then, not Gavi Pascual.
I sorry, that was my mistake.
Gavi Pascual.
I started thinking about his name. It's
Super
an
British.
X. It's
This guy.
And then when I heard Xavi, and I was like,
win.
yeah, of course Xavi Pascual, not Javi.
Then Donato said it like Xavi Pascual,
You
looking
wanted to make a
straight
point,
into your
make a
eyes.
point,
Yeah. He does that well. Every
but
once in a
we
while.
called Gilbert Arenas Gilbert Arenas the whole podcast.
because
so
it's
fine.
Jill's arena. So,
Whatever. To answer your question, I do see them as the dark horse, and I wouldn't even call it a very dark horse. Sort of
now you're a smart guy, right? Now, all these guys are good guys in your eyes, right?
You said in the previous podcast, maybe a few weeks ago, when I said that I would see Fenerbahce winning against Barcelona if they finish 7th or 6th.
This is going to be funny.
And you said, it's not a hot take. This is not a controversial opinion. Fenerbahce could be, it's hard to say it.
Higher?
Yeah, no, they could win against Barcelona from the 6th seed, something like that. So you said it wasn't surprising. But now more and more, just like Keenan Evans, I'm astonished by how they play. The offensive potential, maybe, defense sometimes a little shaky, but otherwise I could see them not only making the Final Four, but being a very, very serious contender to win the title. So to answer your question in short, yes. Another thing I wanted to just say, the loss to Olympia. Have you noticed this crazy pattern of Milano? They've been winning against the teams they shouldn't win against, in our opinion, probably, and then losing against the ones they should win. They lost against...
We'll get there.
We will get to Olympia?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
But this is just off topic, but something crazy pattern I noticed.
Yeah, it's always like that, don't worry.
Right, so what do you think?
About Fenerbahce, absolutely. They're not only dark horse. I wouldn't, I agree with Gitas.
White horse. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. No, just they're contenders to me, not only for the Final Four, but they're real contenders to win the title. I mean, since Sharas took over, I looked at their stats, 28-5. Their record is 28-5 in all tournaments. Considering all the injuries they had, basically in Kaunas when they played Žalgiris, they did not have a small forward and they did not have a power forward. And the only guy they had got injured, during the game. Offensively, they are the number one team since Sharas took over. And, with Itoudis, they were only 13th by offense and 13th by defense. Right now, they're number one by offense and number 8th in defense. So that's a crazy difference. That's a crazy change to me. The amount of offensive weapons they have is amazing. One of the deepest rosters, I think, in the EuroLeague at the moment. Sharas knows how to use the best out of everyone. And, everybody is having their moments. Even Nate Sestina has had his moments. Tarik Biberovic is averaging 15 minutes in the EuroLeague. Sharas has been able to get the best out of every guy in this roster. And
I'm
Dorsey,
not sure if Dorsey does agree with you. Did you see his tweet?
I saw, but Dorsey's shooting 49% from deep. I'm saying is they have such a deep roster. Every guy can have constant minutes in every game. But at the same time, Tyler Dorsey is making 8 3-pointers against Valencia. And, Motley is averaging the same amount of points in a shorter period of playing time. When he's on, Sharas is using to his full potential. And looking at their shooting percentages, they have the best 3-point percentage. They have the best 2-point percentage. Under Jasikevičius, this is just an illustration, the perfect illustration of how to run a smooth offense when you have so many weapons and put everybody in the right places. And I found on Twitter, it was a Turkish tweet, but what Nick Kalidas said when somebody asked him the difference between Itoudis and Jasikevičius. So this is a translation, but what the Greek point guard said is, we couldn't start the season well under Itoudis. We started by losing some matches, and if you're a big team like Fenerbahce, everybody expects you to win. That's okay. And then he goes on saying this was not the case. Sharas, on the other hand, brought a little more intelligence to the game and adapted to the team. He set up the team correctly. He positioned the right person in the right place. This has benefited the team greatly. You are seeing it because we are winning the matches. I think this is really a strong take, and it just perfectly sums up to me the whole situation, that everybody is loving playing for Sharas. And we have been used, and everybody was saying, when in Barcelona, you couldn't enjoy Barcelona matches. Even Mike James said it. I don't really go to watch Barcelona games because they're not playing my style. Right now, with how Fener is playing, they're actually fun. they're enjoying offense. They're taking early threes. They're taking a lot of 3-pointers. So
a lot of it is to do with Scottie Wilbekin and Tyler Dorsey being on that team.
exactly.
As well.
Like it's a different team, and probably like I said when Shara signed for Fener, that he will have probably the best backcourt players that he has. He has
ever had.
Yeah, in EuroLeague. So
Stats actually show that probably he's having the most talented offensive team that he had in the EuroLeague. Which is crazy. I mean, they don't need to suffer anymore. They had 3 games where they scored over 100 points. When Charas was Barcelona head coach, I checked the history.
They had 3 games in those all 4 years or whatever?
They had 1 game.
in 3 years.
And it went to overtime, actually.
Oh
it was
my
this
God.
famous shush game by Isaiah Cannon, and
But
Barca won the game. But in the regulation, they had 94 points.
Did you only in the
Wow.
EuroLeague?
Only
Or
EuroLeague.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Still, that's crazy.
that's the
right?
huge difference. When you compare the offensive rating, you mentioned they have the best offensive rating in the EuroLeague according to BBalytics since Charas took over. In Barca years, he had the third best offensive rating in 21-22 season. In other years, they were 6th or 7th best. And when you think about the roster, I mean, the backcourt talent, with one of the greatest passers all time, with such a scoring options in Wilbekin, in Dorsey, with Def having like Goodrich, another great ball handler for your team, Nigel Hayes-Davis, Deshaun Pierre, versatile center lineup in Motley, Papagiannis, Shanli, and other guys. I mean, yeah, he had Mirotic, but if you remember, he had only 1 year of healthy Corey Higgins. And when you combine all these pieces, it feels like this is the best roster that for the offensive talent that Charas had. And when you take into the consideration one of the most talented teams in the EuroLeague, as Fenerbahce is right now, when you have one of the best coaches in the tournament, for sure you put yourself in a situation to win the title. It's obvious their winning record shows that they found the rhythm. Charas managed to put all these pieces together, so I wouldn't be surprised at all to see them lifting the trophy, and that would be historical because I've checked all the EuroLeague champions, and there was never a case where the coaching change in mid-season won the trophy. So that would be huge, but at the same time, it would explain how great a team of Fenerbahce was actually, because Charas took over a really, really good team.
But I still, we're talking how great they are, but there are still some doubts that we will see, I think, in the playoffs. Remember, this is still like Nick Kalaitis is playing heavy minutes.
True.
And if the other team is going to ignore him in the series offensively, can he make those 3-pointers? That's a big question. I know Charas has so many guys to choose from, in his case, but that's still a question. Defensively, when we are talking about Fenerbahce, we are always mentioning that they have 3 centers, but they're all kind of, better offensively than defensively. Can they hide these guys, in a playoff series when teams are going to target these 3 guys constantly? So
that's a good point.
It's not like we're saying definitely Fenerbahce are now or all of a sudden are number 1 title contenders.
No.
Every team has flaws. Every team has issues, just like Fenerbahce have. But we are kind of not certain, but we are just saying that they're really good at the moment. They're peaking at the right time, and Charas has them playing so well when they were playing, you can say that they were playing bad to start the season.
I had the same thought about the playoffs, but I thought from the other perspective that Charas could build the right sort of a plan for a specific team to optimize their defense. But maybe you got a point as well that the other team will obviously do the same. So
yeah, and there's a track record of Nick Kalaitis in the playoffs, and there's a track record of Charas suffering in the playoffs. All these playoff series, they're really tough. But there are a couple of positives for Fenerbahce going into the playoffs. If they secure the home court advantage, that would be huge because they have the best home game winning record in the EuroLeague. They won 14 of 15 games at home. And what is also interesting, there are 4 teams above Fenerbahce that they're trying to surpass to secure the home court advantage. And what's interesting that both, again, Barcelona, Monaco, and Panathinaikos, they have a head-to-head advantage, and they actually won the first game against Olympiacos in the first round, but they still have one game remaining against them to decide, head-to-head record. But they're in a position to be the highest seeded team in this group because they have just this great head-to-head record. So a lot of positives about Fenerbahce.
Can I give you one negative though? This thing that you mentioned, I don't want to let it go unnoticed. You said, did you see Tyler Dorsey's tweet? And I haven't seen it before. Now I read it. Disrespect at all-time high, 24/25, like the seasons, can't wait. So this looks like he's not happy with either disrespect from the fans or disrespect from the coach, I would say. Because what does that mean? 24-25 can't wait. Like next season can't wait. What about this season?
Yeah, you're in a position to win the EuroLeague.
What is this about? What do you guys think about this?
To me, it was so unnecessary. All these tweets at this point of the season, when the team is on a good run. And I don't even want to speculate what did he mean about this tweet. But that's the problem. You don't need to put some, confusing tweets on your run to secure the home court advantage, let's say 2 months away from the EuroLeague final. You don't need that. I mean, if you feel disrespectful, either by your head coach, by the GM, by your teammates, or by your fans, put that tweet in September. Do your stuff in the offseason. He has a contract with Fenerbahce, I think for 1 more year, or even for 2 years, maybe 1 more year. So do your stuff. If you need, switch your team, then put this tweet and, prove yourself on the court. I have nothing against Tyler Dorsey. I think that he's a great scorer. He could be a great scorer for any title contender, but it was so unnecessary coming of him at this point of the season.
I don't know. Maybe, I know. I don't want to speculate.
Yeah, let's speculate.
I have a quick quiz for you. Okay. Donatas mentioned Fenerbahce have only 1 loss at home this season. Quick. Do you remember against which team? Do you know?
It has to be Asvel or Alba. No. They were close to lose to Asvel, but they won the game.
So?
1 home loss, right?
1 home loss in 15 games. Can you guess which team it is?
Okay.
Do you remember which team it is?
Quick guess.
No?
Not Žalgiris. No. They were close. They were close, but they didn't win it.
They played against them on the January 2nd. So maybe they were celebrating the New Year too hard. I don't know. But I'm kidding, obviously. Okay. No guesses?
No.
Crvena Zvezda.
Okay.
Crvena Zvezda won that game. Joel Bolomboy had 31 PAR, 24 points. Rokas Giedraitis, shout out to him, had 19 and 7 rebounds.
And Šaras was already the head coach. So
Yeah. And Fener scored only 9 points in the second quarter.
Is this a very nice transition to our next segment, which is unexpected or unanticipated losses that changed the picture of the playoffs?
No. Just biggest regrets.
Biggest regrets of what could have happened, or didn't happen, or
sounds just like that. Yeah. So we have this intense playoff race, play-in race, home court advantage race, and I already mentioned on the previous podcast, I think that if Žalgiris just did their business in EuroLeague,
would be so
winning
different
against Alba and Asvel, and instead of dropping 3 games, they would be in the play-in conversation right now. So I believe that a lot of teams has regrets like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Donatas, you are quite right. And thanks for offering this segment.
Thanks
for this
perfect
podcast.
Assist, right?
Yeah.
I'm
catching the lob on the fast break.
You guys can stop this right now.
Kavi Pascual.
White horse. Man.
Yeah, so I thought, looking at games that teams lost is obvious, because if you have lost against Asvel or Alba, then you could say that was a disappointing win, because you should not have dropped points against these 2 teams. But hey, somebody did. And I looked at every team from 10th to 16th place. I included Zvezda because they were kind of in the playoff picture, but not anymore. And I wrote down one thing or a couple of things for each team, and we'll start from... Do we want to start from Zvezda or Milano? Let's go from 10th place, because they still have a lot of chances.
Okay.
So Milano's, I think, biggest regret is not learning from their past mistakes. And yeah, I said it.
But philosophical. August is very philosophical.
Because, they had expectations. Like some teams in this list didn't have expectations for a top 4, like Bayern and Valencia. what regrets do they have? They were projected to be around 10th spot. They're rational about themselves. They know their budget. They know their limitations. They expected to be here. Milano did not expect, but they did not learn from their past mistakes. I think they did not find a point guard that can run the team. And how can a team with a budget like Milano not find a replacement throughout the whole summer and start the season with Pangos, who you didn't want to have in the summer in the first place? How can a team with a budget with Milano make their roster as unbalanced with 7 forwards and only 3 guards when you have a history of injuries happening every season? And, that's basically blew up your entire season. You can still be in the play-in, yes. But if you are in the 10th spot, you need to win 2 games only to get into the playoffs. This is not what Milano expected. And obviously then, in the third place, they lost to Alba and Asvel away. And in Berlin, they had Shields, Mirotic, Pangos, Voigtman, Meli, Poitras, Hall, Heinz, Tonut, Maudolo. And Shields and Mirotic scored 55 points together. And you still lost that game to Alba Berlin. So they have a lot of regrets, I think. And, I think that's normal. That's a fair assessment of their season. Because with that budget, I don't think you can be in the 10th place. You shouldn't be there. I know you had a lot of injuries, but injuries somehow happening every time and every year in Milano, and you need to prepare for that, and they haven't. So I don't know. What do you think? Am I being too harsh?
No, I think
it makes a lot
point.
of sense. It makes a lot of sense. It's just that Milan is on a great run right now, and I just thought that they can make the perfect 8-seeded team in the playoffs to get some drama in the playoffs against Real Madrid, because 5 games ago they played against Real Madrid and they won at home. And actually Milan is on a crazy run. They just beat this hot team that we were talking about, Fenerbahce. They beat Monaco away. They also beat Partizan, and this whole stretch of those big wins happened in the last 6 games. And they have a quite favorable schedule. They're playing Žalgiris away. They're hosting Virtus and they're visiting Maccabi in Belgrade. So they're in a situation, to make it to the playoffs, and them being, finally finding their rhythm, finally adjusting to Nikola Mirotic and all these things, they can be a really dangerous opponent for Real Madrid.
I wouldn't be surprised, though, if they drop one of those games you just mentioned.
Because Milan thing.
After every great game that they have a game where I'm like, how the hell did you lose this game at home?
Like Asvel on March 1st.
Yeah,
that happened after winning against Real Madrid. Yeah,
exactly.
So.
All right, let's move on. 11th place, Valencia. And my point here, I don't think they should be having any regrets. Like, not many before the season expected them to play as good. Shout out to Valencia. Shout out to Alex Mumbrú. But if I had to find one regret, is 8 of their 17 losses came in games decided by 5 points or less. So they lost 8 games, and I counted, by a combined 24 points. They've lost 3 times by 1 point. So I think their biggest regret is not being able to close out games that they were, hoping to win. And this would have helped hugely. They lost to Monaco by 1 point. They lost to Panathinaikos by 1 point. And they lost against Bayern by 1 point. So I think this would be the biggest regret for Valencia. I don't know, guys, if you had to add something about Valencia, or should I move on?
Well, I'm happy there's no losses to Asvel and Alba, because otherwise we would be hating on those 2 teams. We'll be hating on their success, saying that it's other sides' loss, and then... Yeah. All of Asvel's and Asvel's and Alba's wins are bad.
Yeah.
Basically,
bad for EuroLeague.
Yeah, bad for the EuroLeague somehow.
Okay, Partizan are in 12th spot, and I think their biggest regret is still losing Matthias Lazord. I'm sorry, I had to say it. They didn't have no crazy losses like Milano. So I think their biggest loss came before the season, and not being able to maintain Lazord changed drastically the entire picture of this squad. And starting the season with Kaminsky, I know this wasn't their plan. Replacing Kaminsky with Lazord, replacing Lazord with Kaminsky.
The other way around,
my bad.
yeah.
I know this wasn't their idea. Then they had that desperate signing of Bruno Caboclo, where he had that entire case with Venezia. So I just think that Lesort was giving so much to this team, and I looked at their advanced stats. They are worse in both categories, both defensively and offensively this season. And, you know, like that team is missing something. That team is missing something, and even if they do go to the play-in and make the playoffs, I'm not as big of a believer as I was last season when they made the playoffs against Real Madrid. I just don't think they were able to replace what they had with Matías Lesor, and that's my take about Partizan.
Unless they're facing Real Madrid in the playoffs, and Smailagic is just killing Eddie Tavares with 3-pointers, right? That's the only way.
That's true. He was a beast last year. And then I looked at Efes. I looked at our power rankings before the season.
No. Just
this was the most overrated team on that list. I had them 4th. Ritis had them 4th. And you had them 3rd, bro. And I think their biggest regret is just blowing the last year of Shane Larkin's contract. Their biggest regret is obviously injuries, and their biggest regret is obviously not being able to defend a cone that's standing there. And they're the worst defensive team in the league, and I think that's a direct result of their summer choices. And I think they, just like Milano, they should have done a much better job.
Disrespect is all over the place. The biggest regret is letting go of Ergin Ataman. That's the biggest regret. The key to success was that man.
You could say that.
I mean,
say that.
Look at the stats. Look at the standings. What are we talking about?
Oh, but they were here last year, though.
Yeah.
So,
they weren't doing well the last season.
Yeah, they need. I agreed that they needed a new cycle in Istanbul with Efes, and I was happy with the coaching changed. Because it was obvious to me. But I think with how they build their roster, they kind of dug a hole for themselves.
Do you think they should have let go of Can or not? Erdem Can. Was that a...
we already talked about, about this on the podcast. Like the players were not believing in him, I think. And I think that was a big problem. So I think they did right.
So that's not a regret, let's call it.
No.
Wouldn't be one of those. Okay.
I think the regret is, Shane Larkin is on an expiring contract, I think. And that's a regret. You might lose him in the summer, and he's one of the best players in Europe. Who knows how are you going to replace him? And players like him, it's not easy to find them in Europe. So, and they just wasted another year.
They're actually blowing this 2 years of his contract.
The last one
year.
and this one. So that extension he signed is they're spending around the 10th spot. So.
Okay, so then are you going to go through Bayern and Žalgiris?
Bayern, not many regrets here. We all expected them to be here. So, maybe the loss against Asvel at home, but, we're starting the same thing. And Žalgiris, the biggest regret is not winning 1 game out of 4 against Alba and Asvel to me.
Or selling Brasdeikis or not finding a quick replacement. That was a huge mistake.
Forget Alba and Asvel, but letting Ignas Brasdeikis go 1 week before the EuroLeague season, and
not doing anything with that money.
Yeah, you're not replacing him. I think that decided your season. I think that's one of the biggest ifs. That's the biggest if in their team, and it's like you're doing your coach an unfavor. The former coach. Because who knows how Žalgiris would have looked with Evans and Brasdeikis together. So I think that's the biggest regret.
And do you think not changing the coach earlier is another regret of theirs? With the whole debacle of the...
number 1.
Yeah, starts from there.
Point number 1.
But then the indecisiveness of not letting go of the coach, then
but it was just a matter of 2 weeks, so I don't see that changing a lot of things. And plus, they also lost
a game happened.
Alba and Asvel with Trinchieri.
No, it's only to Asvel.
To Asvel.
They won against Alba
the first game.
First game.
Okay. Yeah. Still, in my regrets power ranking, in Žalgiris camp, the letting go of Brasdeikis, not finding a quick replacement, or not, scouting the markets well enough before, with not knowing that there's no such replacement on the market right now, so we could wait and see. That was the biggest regret that influenced all the other collapse.
Yeah, and with Zvezda, it's not me hating right now, but they thought just too good about the players they signed. They signed a bunch of good guys, but not top tier guys that are going to get you the result, that are going to get you a high result. You were thinking about Final Four before the season, and with that roster you had,
and you thought that the head coach is the one to blame for. He actually changed the teams and makes one of the bottom teams a play-in team. That's crazy. That has to be one of the biggest regrets.
Yeah, so I thought they were valuing their guys that they signed way too highly. I think these are good players that you signed, but you need the guy to carry them, to create the advantages.
Nobody knew that Shabazz is going to be that bad in Zvezda, right? We all thought that he's going to be one of the top scorers. So it was, this is something to regret, to be regret about, but at the same time, you cannot control that. You're buying really prolific scorer.
But I had a bigger problem with how their front court was
exactly.
built.
So this is the main problem, I think.
Yeah, we mentioned that signing 10 kind of the same level players was not a good way to build their roster. And from what I heard, they are about to change the strategy of building the team. They're not going to build a ice hockey team anymore with 20 guys, on the roster. They're going to focus on a, shorter core, adding some, young assets, maybe guys like Nikola Topic and stuff like that, trying to solve out situation with the shorter core and shorter lineup.
So they are going to play the Ataman style where 6 guys basically played against Barcelona and they won. Did you see that, the minutes?
That's crazy.
In that game, 6 guys basically played in that game and they won.
And they all talk about the load management, how tough it is to survive the EuroLeague schedule. He did the same thing with Efes. Micic and Larkin, they were playing 34 minutes per game. And, did you see the difference? Did you see any drawbacks of that?
But that's crazy. Slukas played 34. Kendrick Nunn almost 30, Matthias Lezor 35, Mitoglu 38, Grigonis 29, and Geraint Grant 24. And no other guy played more than 3 minutes.
That's crazy.
Panayotis Kalaitzakis played 3, Balcerovski played 3.
I mean, longest is Juancho who was 3:33. And then...
And Luka Vildoza, out of all people, he's not, reaching his expectations, but Luka Vildoza, out of all people, come on now, he was balling in Zvezda last year. He plays 58 seconds for a Panathinaikos team. That's crazy. Anyway, let's...
3 of Panathinaikos players are in the top 10 in minutes played per game. Lezor, 29, Mitoglu, more than 29, and Grant, almost 30 minutes per game.
And we'll see if that doesn't affect them when it comes to the playoffs, because fatigue could be an actual factor as well, if this is the rotations,
Sure.
Okay, let's move on, guys.
Yeah, we had Paris Olympics draw. Of course, we still have as many as 4 question marks. We have 4 qualifying tournaments that will complete the groups that we had, but we have 3 groups, 12 teams. Group A includes Canada, Australia for sure, 2 qualifying tournament winners in Greece and Spain. So potentially from Greece, they can have Greece, Slovenia, Croatia, or Dominican Republic or others. From Spain, they might have Spain, Bahamas, Finland, Poland, and other teams joining Canada, Australia. Group B involves Germany, France, Japan, and qualifying tournament winners in Latvia. So maybe Latvia or Georgia or Brazil or Montenegro or somebody else. And Group C has USA, Serbia, South Sudan, and qualifying tournament in Puerto Rico, with Lithuania, Italy, and Puerto Rico being favorites to win the qualifying tournament. What were your reactions?
First of all, very exciting to see the draft. And I was going to do this part. I was going to introduce everyone to the groups. Thank you, Donatas, for stealing my...
Sorry, my bad.
But I was very excited seeing all the groups, actually. I love all of the groups because there's different things to love about them. But first, I think let's do some fun things. I know it's early, but let's decide who are going to win those qualifying tournaments. Just some early picks. We don't know anything about the teams yet. We don't know anything. But, okay, Australia, Canada, set. And then you got the Spanish tournament. I think the three candidates, as you said, Spain, maybe Finland, Poland on a good day.
Yeah, Spain is winning.
Spain, right? So
don't spend time here.
no, okay. And then with the Greek one is Slovenia or Greece, right? Croatia, we will never trust
I don't trust
Croatia
them anymore.
again.
I tried 2 years ago,
So-
and this is done.
Slovenia or Greece?
Man, Greece to me
Giannis
makes
or
sense.
Luka?
Slovenia.
But I go with Slovenia too. Greece makes more sense, but I go with Slovenia.
Okay, so I'll go
Slovenia
with
makes
Greece.
more sense. I go with Slovenia.
Okay, Group B, we got the Latvian tournament, which is probably the weakest, I guess you could call it. But Latvia, I think, is a clear favorite there. Especially if
Brazil.
Kristaps Porzingis will play. What about Brazil? Iago dos Santos.
And
Do
Bruno
I need
Caboclo, that you
to
just
remind
trashed.
you that they were really good in the World Cup?
You don't need to remind me, but I can remind
Latvia's
you how good
fifth.
was Latvia.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just one tournament, man.
And they now will have
What was the
Kristaps.
other tournament when Brazil was good then?
They were kind of great in everyone.
Okay.
So I think, okay, so you would pick Brazil over Latvia in that tournament?
No,
Okay. So
but I don't say it's going to be
Okay,
that
so
easy.
so I feel like Latvia is going to be there. And then between Lithuania and Italy for Group C.
Lithuania.
Lithuania.
Yeah, I feel like we all expect the best roster from Lithuania to be assembled, and we kind of don't expect Italy to cause us too many problems. So okay, so we got the teams. Let's say we do. With Group A, I think it's the most balanced group of them all, the most competitive probably.
So many NBA stars over there.
That's true. Yeah, Australia, Canada. Yeah.
Every game in that group is going to be must watch.
Yeah, that's the EuroLeague motto here, literally. Every game is going to be competitive. Anyone can beat anyone. And I feel like if we're talking Australia and Canada, two teams that have already, because we shouldn't probably talk about other teams that haven't qualified, but Australia, Canada, one team is like on their changing of the generations with Australia, losing those Ingles, Patty Mills, they're not really playing anymore. Maybe they'll still play in this tournament and be great as they usually are, but
It's just crazy. I mean, in what world, let's say, there's a high chance that Spain will be the worst ranked team in this group?
I don't think they
with
would
Luka
be.
Doncic. Let's say we have Slovenia and
Yeah,
Spain
but-
qualifying. So Luka Doncic and Slovenia, they're fourth in the ranking of this group. So
I would say so.
Can you imagine how crazy the world is that in the group stage you have Slovenia as the worst ranked team in the group? That tells a lot about the
But
level
they
of this
have
group.
no depth. That's their problem.
No, I'm
It's
just
always
not
been.
going into details. Just the fact that Slovenia is the worst ranked team in the group stage.
That's true. When
That's
you look
crazy.
at other groups, yes, I agree with you. Yeah, so it is a shame in one sense that these teams with the superstars might not make it to the quarterfinals. But so and then talking about Canada, we're probably seeing Jamal Murray.
Shea.
Shea, of course. I'm not talking all the
Dylan,
guys.
the villain?
Yeah, all the guys from the World Cup, and then add Jamal and maybe even Andrew Wiggins. And then I would say they're in their peak right now. To be honest, they have their peak roster that they ever had, probably the best Canadian roster. So I think they could be even the favorites of this group. To be honest.
Oh yeah, in my eyes, they're favorites.
And but in terms of standings, since anyone could beat anyone, so chaotic. I don't know. Like it could be 2-1, 2-1, 1-2, 1-2. I don't think there's going to be a team that beats all three teams. I think it's going to be a crazy group, and it will affect the participants, as we will talk about a bit later, when it comes to those two best third places that advance. So a very, very tough group. Group B, I think clearly between France and Germany, we have two favorites. With France, I don't know, man. Last year, you would have expected them to be great. They weren't. Now they're going to add Wembanyama. But still, if Vincent Collet doesn't build this team and glue them and get the chemistry in, then I'll be pointing fingers at him. Because with the roster, they're probably going to have the second best roster, in my opinion, in the whole tournament, won't they? After the Team USA.
Well, I have questions about their backcourt. that's what wins
It's
most of the
aging.
games to me.
It's aging, but they have
Fournier is not playing. He was not getting playing time for the second straight season in the NBA. De Colo is getting in and out, and he's also declining.
Okobo, we saw, is problematic.
You can't trust in Okobo yet.
Yeah.
So that's the huge difference to me. And Germany, to me, is way more balanced team than France.
That's what was my
and I remember there was this tweet, like, if Embiid was playing for France, they would have played Embiid, Wembanyama, and Rudy Gobert in the starting lineup.
Yeah.
Is that a winning lineup, actually? To have these three towers?
I mean, it was more of a joke.
FIBA basketball game?
Wemby at small forward, come on. That was a joke, I think. It's more of a meme. Not a
so.
meme, but...
I hope so.
But yeah, Germany, I think, world champions. I mean, we'll see a different Dennis Schroeder than we see in the NBA. He's not the same guy when he plays in FIBA tournaments, just like Patty Mills, similar situation. So I think, to trust Germany, the world champions, who could add even more pieces from last year. I think it's a smart move, and in general, like how they've grown. I wanted to plug the next video I'm making on country. It's going to be about Germany and their rise in the international scene. So that'll be interesting to see the details why and how they went up after the Dirk era. And then we have Japan. I mean, Japan was the nice story of those two little guys. I mean, it's actually the most watched BasketNews YouTube video.
Crazy.
Can you imagine? The Yuki.
Although I'm not
the
surprised.
Two Yukis.
Japan market is so underrated.
Yeah, and they really.
And their basketball product actually is so underrated.
Now they're building the league.
Japanese basketball league, so they deserve more credit for that.
But I don't think they're gonna win a single game though. In the
competition is just way too high.
Unfortunately,
You're just like Finland, bro.
I mean, Latvia could be Finland here.
No,
I mean, if Latvia makes it, they could be the Finland of this tournament. And then finally, Group C. Content, guys. Content for us. Team USA, Serbia. The very first game of the group. I think the hype is gonna be like through the roof. If Jokic plays, then it's even better. I think he will play. But anyways, this is the matchup of, every time it happens, there's a big story because, I mean, the political situation, all of that is always more than a game. And with the team, the Revenge team, Avengers, I saw Supreme team, like different names for this team. First of all, it will be interesting to see how that will function, the very first game. But then it's against Serbia. I cannot wait. And I'll see all the narratives already of Augustas making a video. How Serbian fundamentals
schooled NBA superstars.
Yeah, but the stories, okay, Donatas will write a story or something. But this is a very, very interesting matchup. And then we'll have, obviously, Lithuania, USA, another storyline of last year. We sort of embarrassed you. I am assuming, but let's hope Lithuania is there. Last year was all meme city, Austin Reeves and Vaidas Karinauskas and all that. And I think that game is the last in the group, I believe. So for Lithuania to play against Team USA.
If Karinauskas makes the Olympic roster and if Lithuania makes the Olympics, do you see Team USA targeting Vaidas Karinauskas for that meme?
I don't think he's going to make
just
it.
Just like MJ did with Tony Kukoc and Scottie Pippen.
I think it's Austin Reeves who should be targeting.
This team that is going to represent the USA in the Olympics don't know who Vaidas Karinauskas is.
I mean, if Anton Edwards is there, he might have some.
Do you really think Anthony Edwards remembers who Vaidas Karinauskas is?
He remembers the face. He remembers the face.
They couldn't
he wants to
differentiate between
face.
Benjusen and Kuzminska. So, but yeah, I think this is going to be very interesting. 3 games actually between all those 3 teams, and then there's South Sudan. They were like a sort of a fairy tale story, best African team to qualify to the. Best African team in the World Cup that qualified to the Olympics. And if you remember that speech of the coach, he was very emotional and very happy for South Sudan to actually make the Olympics. And I think that's their biggest achievement. They don't really need to prove anything else. They already are going to be there. They're going to share the court. But first of all, Team USA. But then even two other legendary nations in basketball. I think this is a huge thing for South Sudan anyways. So even if they lose all 3 games and lose by big margins, it's not a big deal. Which I probably expect as a Lithuanian for them to lose all 3, because we know Lithuania, African teams, all the history, never been very solid, let's call it. But now this is what we need to talk about. The teams that advance from the groups are 2 first places, like first and second place, and then the 2 best third places.
Yeah.
And then in this situation, is it better to be in the group where there's a clear underdog?
I mean, that's
sure.
the conversation I wanted to start with, actually. All these nice stories, all these narratives, all these YouTube headlines, it makes the whole competition exciting. But the format that is in place, it ruins all the thing. Because in this case, having this amazing group of Canada, Australia, Greece, let's say, or Slovenia, Spain, Bahamas, whatever, having all these great late minute dramas, late second dramas.
Close games.
It makes them in a position to be losers. Because, I mean, if you're playing, I'm not, okay, there is USA, Serbia, and let's say there is Lithuanian Team BasketNews in the Olympic competition. So Lithuania lose to USA or Serbia by 10 points, but they beat South Sudan by 40. They will make to the next stage, because let's say Canada, Australia.
So it's plus minus. It's 100% plus minus.
Yeah.
Okay then.
So and if these teams in Group A will have those 3-point
tough
different games 5-point differential games, they will be the losers. And this Lithuania, who just beat Team BasketNews by 40, will qualify, and that sucks.
But
that doesn't make any sense to me.
It's a luck of the draw, and also this tournament is actually nice in a way to have only 12 teams. I mean, I would love them to have 16.
But let's make 4 groups with 3 teams. It makes way more sense to me than this format.
Yeah, that's
3 teams in each group, 2 qualifies. That's it.
Or even the previous format, 6. 16,
to me, it was a bit of,
group.
Okay, if you make a draw, you cannot make a draw if you have only 2 groups. To me, it was a bit, maybe a little bit extended.
But there would be
5 games.
But there would be not enough games in your format.
Fair. In your format, you can only lose 2 games and you go out.
Yeah.
So every game matters,
No, bro.
And in those,
even here, every game matters.
But in those tournaments, there was lack of drama. You knew who were the favorites, and usually 1 or 2 rounds before the group stage finished, you basically knew who will be on the top and not. So,
but you're fighting for the better seeding. Imagine right now if you have with these teams that we will have 2 groups out of 6. That would be amazing, because right now, Australia, Canada, Slovenia, or Greece and Spain is a nice group, but only 2 teams are going to advance, and that's the crazy part. Most likely, because there's. We don't know how it's going to happen, but looking from the theoretical part, it's unlucky that you have 4 great teams in one, and only 2 are going to advance, most probably. I don't know.
But I like Olympics over World Cup because of the fact that there's fewer teams and there's going to be fewer games that don't really matter, or the games that we know who's going to win. I mean, there are going to be some of those, but I like the prestige sort of feeling of the Olympics, and I feel like the Americans usually bring out their best guns because of it as well, because it's like only 12, Maybe there's something nice about that.
Yeah, I see your point, although I would say that, I really loved the previous World Cup experience. So, the World Cup tournament in general is becoming better and better in my eyes. Okay.
Yeah, but exciting anyways.
Sure.
This is exciting.
That's for sure. Although there's a lot of room for improvement regarding the format, whether it's 2 groups with 6 teams or just having 4 groups of 3 teams, it's still better than this format that ruins all the beauty of the competition that we might have in the Group A.
Or 5-on-5 basketball will actually be extinct from the Olympics at some point as well.
This is a
possibility.
Yeah. So the last topic that we have for this podcast, it was my idea to bring a different perspective on the EuroCup semifinals that we're having this week. We have some amazing matchups like Paris against London Lions, and it's beautiful because a lot of people thought that these two teams will be just included in the EuroLeague family just because they're big markets. And now they're in a good position to prove themselves as EuroCup winners to get that chance to play in the EuroLeague. So they're meeting in semifinals in the best of 3, and we have Besiktas against Burg and the other semifinal pair. But my idea was to look at the best EuroCup players and potential EuroLeague rookies coming off the EuroCup. Actually, it's a pretty extensive list that I have, but I will put the entire list on the BasketNews.com article, which will be entirely exclusive only for BN Plus members, and you can join our BN Plus community on BasketNews.com/plus. We have few different subscription levels, and by the way, shout out to Nikola Belik, Dave Gassman, Janut Georgescu, and Kimon and SportsCarsTime.com, and couple more anonymous sponsors of Basket News who subscribe us on All-Star or GM levels. So yeah, I will just provide a list of 3 EuroCup players that in my eyes has a great chance to be in the EuroLeague, and I'm quite sure that we will see those faces in the EuroLeague.
Only 3?
Only 3, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the list is longer, but on this podcast, we will provide just 3 names. So the first one is actually that I see in the EuroLeague for sure, and it's Davidas Servidis, the top scorer of EuroCup. He is just 23 years old. He will turn 24 before the next season starts. He was averaging 19 points per game. And he was just amazing at shooting the ball from 3. His stats, give me a second. Oh yeah,
61, 42%.
42% from 3, and he is the 6th in highest volume 3-point shooters in the competition. He proved, and the numbers show that he can make threes in all kinds of situations, both coming off screens or even to create shot by himself, and off dribble ISO situations. He also added 4.4 rebounds, 2.6 assists, which is important because he in Lietkabelis he also proven as a guy who can also create, who can pass the ball at a quite good level. He has a nice floor vision. Of course, he's a turnover prone. 3.2 in the EuroCup, that's huge, but in a limited role, in a different situation, I think that this number can be reduced. And, he's coming as a young specialist at 3-point shooting, and we saw what big teams like Real Madrid, for instance, with J.C. Carroll managed to do from those specialists. And Davidas Servidis just recently rejected a Valencia offer. And it shows that,
there's something more than just...
Probably, or let's say they're sure that there will be legit EuroLeague offers, because let's not forget that Valencia, they don't have a EuroLeague license. So there's some kind of sort of risk of them not being in the competition, although their odds to stay in the competition are high due to qualities they bring. But he's waiting for something more, and I have a feeling, and I think that it would make a lot of sense for him to go to Žalgiris Kaunas. First of all, because he will find minutes over there, because when I look at some other EuroLeague teams, being a foreigner in those teams, and let's say having a couple bad games, you might be left out of the rotation. In Žalgiris, all these guys that they have, Tomas Dimša, Dovydas Giedraitis, at some point they got their chances. And I think that Davidas Servidis could benefit a lot from playing for Andrea Trinchieri. To me, that's one of the best coaches to use those 3-point specialists. We all can see what he did with Brady Manek and how important Brady Manek is for Andrea Trinchieri. And what also Brady Manek brings to the game, it's not just 3-point shooting, but passing. And you can imagine what he might do on the floor, at least offensively, of course. Servidis has his own limitations in defense. But offensively, what he could do with Manek and Servidis on the court. Servidis is my guy.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on this one. And I would say a good comparison maybe would be a better version of Rokas Giedraitis even, with his, let's say, ceiling in the EuroLeague.
To me, they are different players.
Well,
I think that Giedraitis brings more physicality. To me, he's more efficient in the transition game.
But Davidas can play with the ball more than Rokas can. He can do more offensive. He's more versatile than Rokas. I feel like Rokas is very, very sort of not spot up shooter, but like shooter of a catch, and then I see Sirvidis with the potential to be more dangerous on offense in the EuroLeague. Do you agree?
What do you think,
Augustus?
Augustus?
I
Because
think the
have some
upside
doubts.
is higher. For
Yeah,
Sirvidis.
potential is higher, that's for sure.
But it's up for him to, to prove that. I think he has done an amazing job this season. I've seen almost every Lietkabelis game in EuroCup, and he was just every game he was adding something new. Since the start of the season, either that's finishes around the rim, Euro stepping, dribbling the ball, getting to the rim, getting to the paint, and we all thought of him. After the G League, we all thought of him as kind of a movement shooter, spot-up shooter, just a shooter. He has proved to be much more than that. It's great to see his potential, so that's why I think his upside for sure is
Okay,
clear.
so he just validated what I was talking about.
Okay. He had
With more details.
He had 9 games of 18 with 20 plus performances in the EuroCup, and you can say that Marcus Howard is also a prolific shooter. He's great, but the difference is that he has great size. He stands at 2 meters and 4 centimeters. He has a great wingspan. He's improving his body, and he's just still 23.
I mean,
That's rare for the EuroLeague.
We shouldn't be surprised if he ever comes back to the NBA as a shooter, really. Like what he was trying to do for the last 3 years. I'm glad he came back, but I wouldn't be surprised if he gets to a good level that he would be a wanted piece. Of course, we're talking about defense again. Who's the next one?
Yeah, 2 other guys that I have, they're actually coming from semifinalists, and one of them is the number 5 top scorer in the EuroCup, Matt Morgan, coming off London Lions. Almost 17 points per game, 62% from the two-point range, 36 from 3, but he is also quite high volume shooter, almost 5.5 attempts per EuroCup game. I mean, he can create those shots by himself. He can get himself to the free throw line a lot because he can finish through the contact. He likes to face the contact, physical basketball. And to me, he also stands at 193. He is 26. To me, he has so many similarities to Keenan Evans, actually. If you watch how he moves, how he scores, he's a very interesting player. And from what I heard, he's also a very intelligent, quiet, and hard-working guy. And just like Keenan Evans, he brings the same qualities. Of course, he needs time for a transition. Let's not forget that Keenan Evans also had you cannot say that it was a bad transition year for him in Maccabi. He was not that bad. He was quite efficient at his role, but still, he needs this rookie experience in the EuroLeague before maybe potentially, showcasing his skills on the highest EuroLeague level, just like Keenan Evans did. But I liked what I've seen from Matt Morgan, and to
so
me,
what's your best fit for him in the EuroLeague? Did you think of that, or
winning the EuroCup with London Lions and
then just
doing it
just
in
going
London.
to the EuroLeague?
Makes sense. If not, maybe a team like Bayern Munich can give him a right opportunity. I'm not sure if I want to see him in teams like Asvel and Alba if they are going to stay in the bottom. Not sure if it's the best experience for the year one experience, but I would love to see him, in a bit better situation. Maybe, okay, there's not much space in Baskonia now, but okay, as I said, maybe Bayern Munich, for instance.
And things can move
Valencia.
around. Yeah.
Because Valencia, they don't have a clear shooting guard or scorer except from Chris Jones on the perimeter.
Okay, who's the last one?
And the next guy, give us a hint. I want to guess.
I also want to guess.
It's
I have
very
one. Okay.
easy. It would be a quite easy hint.
Is it from the top 4 teams?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Does it have to do anything with clothes? With his name? Is there?
No.
No?
Clothes?
Clothes, yeah, or apparel, basketball apparel.
You mean shorts?
Yeah.
I thought about height. So, but yeah, he has something to do with clothes.
Oh, okay.
So what is your guess?
Okay.
It's TJ Short King the second. No, TJ Shorts.
TJ Parker.
An amazing player to watch. He's still 26-year-old, but the problem is that he's 175 centimeters.
It's not a problem.
It's quite a problem if you look at the track record in the EuroLeague. But his case is interesting. I really believe that finally he can get this EuroLeague opportunity, unless, of course, he makes it to the EuroLeague with Paris. And I think that would be a perfect transition, actually. Okay, Besiktas to me is also looks like an interesting project, but to see Paris with coach Isolo, getting this EuroLeague opportunity organically by becoming EuroCup champion and keeping TJ Shorts as his primary point guard option, because I doubt that any other EuroLeague team will give him this role. That would be nice. That would be something good for the EuroLeague basketball, actually, for the versatility of the talent that every team can bring. And in TJ Short's case, I think that he will definitely get an EuroLeague offer, because I heard that he had such one last off season. But the thing is that the team that approached him couldn't define his role. I mean, he was not sure about the role he gets on that EuroLeague team. And instead, he had this clear project in Paris with the head coach that he found success before in Bonn, with Coach Isolo. So he decided to stay at the lower tier competition for one more year. And you cannot say that the guy made a mistake. I mean, he is a top 3 scorer in the competition. He's having an amazing run with Paris basketball team. And for sure, he will have his value on the market this summer. My question is, how successful 1.75 m player can be on the EuroLeague level.
Bobby Dixon or Ali Mohammed? Have you heard of Iago dos Santos this season? I think they can be pretty successful. Of course, he's not going to score 20 points, but he can.
Bobby Dixon was a bit different player, because he was a hell of a 3-point shooter.
But he's a bucket. I watched TJ Short's highlights. He can get buckets like one way or another.
But TJ Short's 3-point shooting percentage this year was 28. That's a concerning part to me, because if you look at the track record of those short guys, and actually the real height of Bobby Dixon is an interesting case, because he's officially listed at 178, which I think is fake. He cannot be 178. I mean, I saw him live. He has to be 175. Maybe it was because of his haircut, because I remember that Marcus Howard also told that he's 5'9", 5'9". I think that the haircut makes him like 6 feet or something. That the haircut that he had. So I think
he doesn't have that haircut anymore. Anyways.
They were just doing those measurements when Bobby Dixon had this great afro.
I think TJ Shorts is EuroLeague material.
I hope
absolutely.
I hope
he is an insane scorer. 7.7 assists and 1.5 turnovers. That's one hell of a ratio.
In a team that plays such a high tempo basketball, putting them in the risk to do more turnovers.
He feels great in that system, and that's also, you're talking about, his height. But if he goes to another team, because he has played in this different kind of system for Isolo for quite a few years now, and can he fit in a different one? Because right now he's like a fish in the water. Absolutely, he's dominating. Paris are dominating EuroCup, at least until this moment. And they're for me, they're heavy favorites to win it all. And then I think it would be perfect to see TJ with Paris.
It depends on the system. And if Paris, they're not making the EuroLeague, who do you see as the best fit for the player like TJ Shorts?
It's hard to say, because so many EuroLeague teams are going to change during the summer, and it's hard to say. If you want to play fast, then
let's say we have the current pool of teams and head coaches and the talent that we have.
You have to look at the teams right now. I can't think of, because, Baskonia, according to the play style, Valencia maybe, but, Baskonia have Marcus Howard, so another short guard. You can't pair them at the same time on the court.
But you see, where it's coming, all kinds of, challenges that might just, he might not have a roster space on some teams just because the way they're structured.
I think he is going to have a lot of offers, but quite few teams just go back, because it's hard for them to put him in their system. But I think he's definitely EuroLeague level, for sure, to me.
Yeah, or at least, he deserves to give it a try.
And it's crazy to me that he played in Ventspils 4 years ago.
I mean, 4 years ago he was 22,
So. Yeah, but he was in Ventspils, and I remember seeing, a dude that's like, shorter than everybody else, and right now he's like on the EuroLeague radar. and completely dominating the EuroCup. Last year they won the German league. Amazing.
Yeah,
Okay, I thought
it brought me memories of John Robert Holden playing for ASK Riga. That was also very random. There are some stories of those, let's say, random destinations, first time destinations in Europe for the big players that we have in the EuroLeague.
They didn't win. Wait, they didn't win. All won German league.
Last year?
Yeah.
Yeah. With Iago dos Santos.
Yeah. They won.
And actually, Iago dos Santos
they won Champions League.
has the highest scoring average in the EuroLeague among the players I've checked that are not higher than 175 or taller, 175 or 176. And I've checked all those players since 2008, and we didn't have that many examples. So Iago dos Santos is averaging 9.2 points. There was Jackson Cartwright Parker, who's actually who was awesome in Australia this season, but last year in Asvel, he was averaging 5.4 points. If you all remember Jerome Randall in Žalgiris, he was averaging 7.2 points per game. There was Irving Walker in Zelona Gura Stelmet 10 years ago. He was averaging less than 6 points. Jarrell Blessing Game from Procom Treffel 13 years ago, 8 points average. And there was a guy named Marquise Green, 165 centimeter player in 2008 and 13. He had an average of 6 points per game. And, so there's a track record of those guys having struggles, but at the same time, to me, it's also all about the fit, all about the situation and the head coach, the way he sees the team. If you're joining the team as a potentially third point guard on that team, or let's say fourth, fifth guy in the rotation in your backcourt, it might be too risky. But if you're joining the team of Thomas Isalo or any other head coach who has a clear role and mission for you, I also see TJ Short as being beneficial at the EuroLeague level.
Okay, for the final segment, we have some social posts that we should react to. First is this Olympiacos meme, how their season has been.
That's a good meme.
Yeah.
That's a good meme because I remember that we all had all kinds of concerns about Olympiacos.
Yeah.
And now to see them being so good at this last evolution of SpongeBob SquarePants, it's just amazing.
But they, their week wasn't as successful. They lost to Efes away, kind of risking their chances at a home court advantage. But nice meme.
Yeah. And what's the last one?
Ooh. Oh, yeah. This is a crazy fact, right?
That's crazy.
52 of 52.
Now that you have mentioned it, expect Kendrick Nunn. You know how they always say the commentator curse.
Yeah. Someone had a very crazy run like that before. Do you remember? Out of maybe Lithuanian guy?
Nando De Colo?
Maybe that was even
It has to be
Edgar
Nando.
Asulano was making like 30 in a row, and I remember this somehow. Or
But
something
I think,
like that.
Is this a record 52 in a row without missing?
I don't know.
I think we have to get our guy, Darius Garuolis, on this.
Yeah.
But I think Nando has made more in a row.
Yeah, it would make sense.
If I had to bet.
The comments are brutal here, though. Look at the first top comment.
Oh my God.
Yeah, this is crazy.
They're always fighting in there.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Another one.
And this one?
And this one is...
EuroLeague drama continues. What will happen next? Find out next week.
Yeah.
And Efes right there.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere.
This is... Oh, yeah.
I have another suggestion for our social team. Randy
one.
Randy Orton RKO out of nowhere with a team that's going to make the 10 spot. I said this one.
Ken was tweeting this out as well.
He was in line.
He was in line. Are we going to get a Tyler Dorsey tweet here? Probably not.
Maybe next week.
Maybe, because it just happened. All right. So I guess that was all?
Yeah, that's all. Again, press like button if you watched it.
We never do this, but thank you.
Thank you for the podcast. Thank you for the podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mantas. Shout out to Mantas Ramelis. Shout out to everyone who was watching. Just press like button, subscribe our channel. That will really help us to grow as a channel and as a podcast. And see you very soon the next week.